Hey guys, thought today I'd chuck together a list of other programming stereotypes I could think of and rank them to see how true these stereotypes really are. These are just off the dome, so I might have missed a few. Let's get straight into it. The categories are perfectly accurate, mostly accurate, 50-50, not really true, and straight up blasphemy. Let's start with only male. This is a stereotype that if you go to a CS course, you're only ever going to see men there. You go to the office, there's only men around. And in my experience, unfortunately, this is perfectly accurate. At the company I work at, I think there's about a 3 to 700 ratio of girls to guys. I've heard online that some of the companies it's different to this, but in my experience, it's very heavily male dominated. It can definitely be a bit of a sausage fest. The next one we have is awkward or no social skills. I think if you look online, this one's very different to in person. I find generally in person, most people are pretty alright. They get the job done and they can talk fine, but then you go into some instant discussions and forums and the rumors hold up. I'll give this one 50-50. I think compared to other industries, we're definitely worse, but on average, it's not that bad. Next up, I'm sure if you're a programmer and you have non-programmer friends, they'll ask you, "Can you hack this for me?" And I think that this one is straight up blasphemy. Not many of us are actually hackers. Most of us are doing the security, if anything. So I'll have to rank that one low down. Next up, we have every programmer being a boulderer. Now, from my experience, not every programmer is a boulderer, but every boulderer is either a programmer or something in medicine. So I'm going to have to give this one a mostly accurate tier because I'm actually guilty of this one myself. Well, I'm actually guilty of all of these so far, but when you go to the bouldering gym and you ask them what they do, it's about a 50% chance they say software developer. We have cooked. I've heard a lot online lately, people saying there's no jobs, too many applicants, they have no hope. In my cook chat recently, I was actually the interviewer for a bunch of interns, and looking at the numbers and the ratios of applicants to jobs, I gotta say it's kind of true. If you got in about 2 or 3 years ago, things were a lot better. Things are only going to get more and more competitive as this industry gets more saturated. That being said, I think you get a lot more opportunity in computer science and programming in general because your skills really speak for themselves, and it allows you to stand out from the crowd if you work hard and know what you're doing. Next up, we have having crazy setups like 20 monitors, split keyboard. This one is 50-50 as well, I find. I actually think a lot of people I've found use regular keyboards, one monitor, or maybe they just even code on their laptop, which is crazy to me. But on the other end of the spectrum, I do see a lot of people with their crazy setups. I myself have the big monitors and the split keyboard, so also guilty of this. Next up, we have meager, flimsy, little weak children babies. I think this one is actually not really true. Obviously, there are a lot of flimsy and weak programmers, but firstly, a lot of them are boulders, so they got that pull-up strength. But secondly, I think that because of a lot of programmers, they like to min-max things and think about things logically. Going to the gym has now become one of the basic stats that people have started really emphasizing on in modern years. So I'll put that in not really true. Next up, we have nerd. I think this was true 20 years ago, perfectly accurate, but more and more so it's becoming a more mainstream field, so I'll put it in mostly accurate. I think people that were nerds in high school are far more likely to become programmers in the future, but I wouldn't say that every programmer's a nerd. There's some suave characters lying about. Next up, we have only wears tech merch, and I'll put this one in perfectly accurate. How do you know if someone works at a tech company? Don't worry, they'll wear the merch. So this one is perfectly accurate. I think that anyone that works at a tech company, you'll find out. They'll force you to find out by aggressively shoving it down your face with the merch. I'm also guilty of this one. Next up, we have rich. Is every programmer making millions and billions of dollars? 50-50. I think compared to a lot of other industries, computer science has a lot higher paying entry roles. But I think higher up the ladder, there's opportunities in every field to make money, and I don't think that the best programmers are necessarily the richest people in our society. Outside of Fang as well, there's a lot of pretty average paying jobs which are not particularly mind boggling. Next up, if you've told someone you're a programmer, they might say, "Oh, you must be so smart, you must be so good at maths, blah blah blah." Is this true? I'm going to say not really. It actually doesn't take that much IQ to be a programmer. Sure, there's lots of hard parts about it, but there's also a lot of people that are not that smart in there, myself included. I guess the basic tenets of computer science are not really that difficult at their core. Obviously, there's difficult tasks, and there are some really excellent and smart programmers, but not all of them are. Next up, we have Stinky. I'm sure we've all heard rumors of walking into the computer science lab and being absolutely smoke bomb blast grenaded and needing to run out, grab the gas mask. I'll put this one in 50-50. Maybe the ratio's stronger in computer science and programming compared to other subjects, but in general, I don't think people are that bad, and this one might be overblown. Although, Maybe it's because I did uni online mostly, so I didn't have to deal with the blast of stank every time I walked into those laboratories. And finally, we have lazy, works 2 hours a day and gets paid buckets just to sit around and do nothing. I'll put this one in. Not really true. I think that actually a lot of programming jobs are pretty hard. They often require you to be on call and they can take up a lot of time. Obviously, there's jobs that are easy and don't take long, and there's jobs that do, but in general, I reckon this stereotype isn't super true. Anyway, that's the list. Thanks for watching, guys.